We got 5 games on the card tonight. I'm heavily invested in 2, but I have action in all 5. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to The Closing Line. My name is Torrence. I'm here to represent Pub Sports Radio every Tuesday and Thursday. It's really to remind you of 2 things. First being, and I say this every time I start my show, the books aren't your enemy. They're your roadmap. Make sure you pay very close attention to what they're doing with the lines. And then you got to limit psychological damage. You got to have emotional control or you will go broke. The bookies will scrap you, take scraps out of your bank account if they have to. Keep the emotions minimal and keep grinding. With that being said, I just want to touch on Tuesday this week because I know that the show had, people were going on as if the show was going to go on. There's a little bit of miscommunication between me, Jimmy, and Slaughter. I missed the show. I apologize. I got caught up out of town. I did try to give him a little bit of a forewarning, but I apologize for missing. But I'm back, and I got the tequila glasses. I think the tequila glasses are finally off. Right, I'm a little bit still. I was hungover for like 24 to 48 hours after drinking so much tequila over the weekend. But I'm back in the grind, and I'm back getting my ass kicked by unearned runs like I did yesterday in the Cleveland Guardians. If you saw what I posted on X, if you followed, I feel bad for giving you that play, especially with all those errors. It was just painful to watch. But we've been good on the show. Not in July, we weren't. We ended up losing 3.10 units on 7:30 on the last show in July. We ended up we were down 6.85 units in July, but we were approaching 40 units heading into July. We're plus 31.50 units here on this show on the closing line on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I got to continue this, even though I'm struggling to start today on Tuesday here too. And PCA just got a little leadoff hit to start this inning. It'd be great if they could pull it out of their ass. Dylan Cease continues to pitch like an absolute animal. I don't think there's any contest now. Who's been the best pitcher in the MLB? I think Dylan Cease is every bit the best pitcher we've seen. How deep he's able to pitch in games, just the sustained run he's on. It's just unparalleled. You don't see many performances like that. But we have seen some performances out of some of these pitchers we're going to talk about today. 5 games on the slate. Let's see who's in chat. And of course, I see my guy Colin Gregory with me through the ups and downs on the roller coaster with me. And the roller coaster is not over till the fat lady sings. We still got 3 weeks left before I sign off the MLB season and sign into the NFL season. So we're going to absolutely hammer these slates, especially where I see an edge. I'm not going to hesitate. Let's go. First game up. We got the Phillies and the Nationals. I do have a graphic for this game. We might have to circle back and talk about it because there's quite a bit to talk about with these minus 300 favorites. And if you didn't know, you should know that if you're talking about a minus 300 favorite at minus 300, you need to win 75% of the time to break even. That's a tall task in the MLB. And that's why you hear that there was a minus 300 fade that is frequently thrown around in this industry. And I look at when home teams open under minus 300, when you see these massive home favorites of minus 300 or more. Since 2023, in my sample that runs the full MLB season through about August 25th, home teams that open less than minus 300 are 59-9 straight up. That's 85%. So that's pretty damn good. That's plus EV. On the run line, 39-23, 63%, which is starting to borderline EV, depending on a few parameters there. And if it's in division, they've been just as successful. If the line moved towards the road team, they've even been more successful. And that's what I wanted to show you today is what happens when a home team opens over minus 300 and the line moves towards the road team. And I can't show you that, but I will tell you that it's a very favorable profile, especially on the money line. And especially when you're looking at totals in division with these big minus 300 favorites, they go under in division at a very, very high rate. The Phillies have opened as a favorite minus 300 or more 2 times the past 2 seasons. This season, they played the Rockies. They won 6-0. In 2025, they played the Rockies. They won 5-1. The Nationals on the road when priced below minus 300. In 2026, they have not been this pricey. Right, there's not been an expensive home team like this for the Nationals because they've been so damn good, especially offensively. So I immediately started looking at that they have not been priced like this at all this season, not even close. We see this massive line on the Phillies, and everyone's probably thinking there's value on the Nationals. And I couldn't disagree more. based on what I'm seeing in the database and with this market history. In 2025, they were a minus 300 dog. Once they lost 13-7 against the Dodgers. They picked up 6 runs late against the nobodies pitching for the Dodgers, trying to get through the final innings. It just seems like such a steep price, especially after knowing. I mean, we backed Cavalli in Washington against Sanchez in this Phillies team, and we cashed in the first 5. What's that? What's that? I think they're trying to get my graphics in the background. Rob McMahon, Man Bear Pig, Mac Attack. You're great, Troy. I'm a believer. Thank you, dude. Thank you, man. I'm what do we got here? I'm kind of peeking at this Cubs game. We got plenty of time. So we got a 1-out guy on first, and I need these Cubs to pull it out. I had the Cubs first 5, and the disengagement, the whatever it was, it's an error. It was a balk, essentially. Or worked out like a balk, gave up a free run in the first inning, lost the first 5, moved on a live bet, split a unit up on the +1 at +135 and the money line +207, and it's not looking very damn good right now. So I'm not having a great start to my day. I'm not a very happy camper heading into this show. But now that I'm talking about the Phillies and Nationals, I'm looking at this profile. It's not the cash cow profile. I will say that. But what it is a very favorable profile, especially when you start looking at in division specifically. Teams in this price range, they get the job done, and almost every single time in the sample. It's a small sample, these big home favorites. Small sample, but what do we see? We see the road teams not being able to score, which is a little bit counterintuitive. I mean, we've seen Washington versus left-handed pitching all season. They're second on the season. They're first since July 5th, or since the 1st of July. They're 5th in the MLB. We look at Sanchez, who's been absolutely incredible. He gave up, they got to him in Washington not too long ago. And on this show, we talked about it. I was taking a lot of heat for backing Cavalli in the Nationals in the first 5, and he ended up getting the job done 5-0. And then the Phillies actually went on to win that game. And that was when the Nationals had 3 very late 8th, 9th inning blown leads in a row. They got swept by the Phillies. And it's going to be 2 outs, PCA on second with our guy Bregman up to bat. I mean, I know Sanchez, he had a struggle. This is the type of pitcher when he plays a team and he struggles on the road and then he comes back against the same offense at home and you see him priced like this, it should tell you exactly how he's going to pitch today. A lot of times, not every time. Nothing's perfect. There's always going to be some ambiguity and some times where it doesn't work out. But this price is telling me, this opening line is telling me we got to be backing Christoph Sanchez in this game. And he's one of the rare pitchers. I talk about him frequently as well. Like, he's one of those rare pitchers that has 3 pitches in his bag. I like to see more. He throws 3 pitchers, but that's all he needs to keep hitters off balance. With his ability to sequence, his swing and miss stuff is off the charts. He's going to be fine. Then you got Mikolas on the other side, and this guy's washed up. He should be out of the league. And him being in the lineup or in the rotation for any team should tell you exactly where that team's expected to land in the season. I mean, if he's in your rotation for the entire season, you're not doing so well. So to see the Nationals thriving like they have been this season relative to expectations has actually been impressive. Mikolas is a guy we want to fade. He's bottom 3 in pitching run value. His K rate's at 11.9%. He's in the bottom 1% in K rate. He doesn't give out free passes, and Philly's been struggling versus right-handed pitching. So why they open up as such a big favorite in this game? I think the writing's on the wall. I moved on the Phillies first 5. I paid the juice, minus 185 for a unit for the first 5. We got the Nationals first 5 team total under -1 or under 1.5, minus 135 for a unit. And I might as well. I mean, the Nationals bullpen sucks as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on the Nationals full game run line and pay the juice. I don't think there's a lot of people doing that out there. Is it in the basket? Did Bregman just hit a fucking dinger in the bottom of the 9th? Get the fuck out of here. Bregman, let's go, man. You know what's funny? You know what's funny about Bregman? All the Cubs fans, and my dad is a die-hard Cub fans. He knows all about the people in the minor leagues, he talks about, he knows his team in and out. Every aspect of this team, he's been a fan for 60 years. Watching Cubs baseball, following every single move they make. And a lot of the fans were giving Bregman shit. They wanted his fucking head on a platter when he was running around the bases after hitting 1 home run. And he was kind of like, he was taunting the crowd who's been very harsh and hostile to him. He was saying, shut up. Like, this is an all-star third baseman who's had a successful career and he's going through a hard period of time. People wanted to sell him out. And he's doing that. That told me he was going to have some some upward mobility. And sure enough, this is what we're seeing right now. I'm adding Nationals -1.5. And I'm gonna hold off on that. Hold on. Before I add the Nationals -1.5, I'm gonna hold off on that. Let's see if we could reprofile some of these games, see if we have a money line parlay piece that we could put with it, or because there are some first fives that I like that are a little bit expensive. Let's hold that off right now. We got 2 units. We got Phillies first five -0.5 per unit. We got Nationals first five team total under 1.5 for 1 unit. And that's how I'm playing the Phillies game. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of people on that side. If anything, they're going to be public, but that's exactly kind of where I want to be. And actually, I don't think I touched on cash flow in this game, but it's not surprising to see. We know I don't have to touch on this game. There's 80% or more bets and cash coming in on the Phillies. No surprise. No surprise. Nationals -1.5. Did I say no? Nationals team total under 1.5. Got to lock in, bro. Bill Fay, you're right. You're right. Bregman just hit a home run. I got to lock in. Should I turn this off? I'm going to turn this off. This is going to be hard. Keep me updated in chat. Keep me updated in chat. I'm turning the Cubs game off so I can lock in, which also is going to require me to zen up here. It's going to require. Am I a sucker for betting Phillies -1.5? No, I don't believe you are. I don't believe you are. I think paying the juice makes a ton of sense, and I can back that up with empirical evidence. NFL watch-alongs are going to be fire. I cannot wait for the NFL. I cannot wait. Next week, I was planning on starting to dive into each and every team, kind of mapping out coordinators, changes to the roster, seeing where people are going to get in, where they fit in. Our scheme's going to have to change to match the personnel that they have. And that's when we want to fade coaches. Oh, shit. Swig, stop it. No NFL chat, Mike. No, not here. We're talking MLB here. All right, next game up, we're talking Red Sox versus White Sox. Red Sox versus White Sox. Did I skip one? No, we're already at Red Sox versus White Sox. And we're looking at 80% or more. This is very similar to the Phillies in terms of cash flow. All the action's coming in on Boston, but we're seeing a little bit different of a situation. Yeah, we've seen line movement towards the Nationals in the Phillies game. And to me, that doesn't scare me at all. That just offers a more appealing price. But in this game, this is a much different price range, right? At -360, you're talking about 75%. At -200, -190, essentially, we're talking about 66% break even, almost 10% difference in implied odds. That's a massive delta, So the open at -300, extremely strong. The open at -190, it depends on how you perceive this matchup between these two teams. And it depends on a lot of different variables. What do the bookies think when they're opening this team here? I mean, we're talking about a team in the Boston Red Sox that's won 24 of 27 games. I have a graphic for this game as well. This is a spot I do want to attack, and there it is. So we're looking at a home team opening at -192. They're down to -180. They got down to -180 earlier in the day. Now they're back up at -187. The total opened at 8.5. Or opened at 8.5, 9, depending on where you look at it. Now it's down to 8.5. It's kind of juiced to the over. It has not a lot of movement on the total. When non-divisional home teams open in this range, close in this range with this very small line movement towards the road team, it's been a profitable situation to be fading the home team in this situation. And what this graphic doesn't reflect is the cash flow, because when you see this line moving towards the road team at all in this demographic, in this environment, you got to be betting the road team. And I always talk about this too. You can see that 8 or less, these low totals, you hear me talking about fading when the total's low, fading the steam. Well, now we're talking about exactly where I like to attack markets, right? Exactly 8.5 to 9, between 8 and 9 is where I want to operate, where I trust the market the most, and where it's the most efficient historically. We want to be looking towards the White Sox in this spot, and that's a hard thing to do when you look at Luis Castillo versus Ranger Suarez. Luis Castillo's on the mound, 139 whip, 483 xERA. You can pull that graphic down now if you want, Vic, and we'll touch back on the Phillies. I have a graphic for the Phillies game too. We can touch on that after this. I want to talk about this matchup first, though. Castillo, 139 whip, 483 ERA. This is going to be his first start after the trade deadline. He's coming off 5 innings, 11 hits, 5 earned against the Dodgers, but this is his first start for the Chicago White Sox. We've seen what happened with David Peterson when he moved to the Chicago Cubs. he ended up being a dog because he's a pitch to contact pitcher, and he's with the best defense in the MLB. Now, that's not the same case for the Chicago White Sox, but just the change of scenery might be good for him. And he's pacing towards, the problem is he's pacing, I don't think what we've seen from him is off or misleading, to say the least. He's pacing towards the worst season of his career. The pitch mix hasn't changed. I mean, it's been pretty solid for 5-6 years now. Fastball, slider, sinker, changeup, very straightforward. But the fastball run value is where I have my biggest concern in backing him in this spot, because he dropped from the top 10% last year to the bottom 20th percentile, and that's really where the drop happened in his performance. I think it's the location of the fastball. That's really hard to put your finger on watching him pitch. The velo is fine. He's actually upticked his velo. His velo has picked up just a little bit versus year over year. But the run value, the location, the efficiency has dropped significantly. He's always struggled versus left-handed hitters, and his numbers are bad against this Boston Red Sox lineup. 79 at-bats, 304 opponent batting average, 857 OPS. So if I was just to consider this matchup, there's no way I'd be looking towards the White Sox in this spot. And that's reasonably so. But and then I look at him, his resume. What do I see? I see there's some exceptions to his overall performance this season, because he went into Cleveland, 6 innings, 1 earned. He went into Washington, 6 innings, 2 earned. Went into San Diego, 5 innings, 1 earned. Went into Detroit, 5.2 innings, 1 earned. Against New York, 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned. So he has posted quality starts, but he does have that propensity to get blown up. But if you are backing anybody against Boston at the moment, you want to be backing a right-handed pitcher. Yes, they've been progressively better, but really over the past month, they've been significantly better. They're 7th since July 1st, but they're 27th on the season. And that 7th since July 1st is heavily centralized in the past few days and just a few outlier performances. I don't know exactly what I expect from Luis Castillo in this matchup, to be honest. If I did, I would be more heavily weighted on the Chicago White Sox in this spot. Suarez on the mound, a guy I talk about all the time. I love what he does I love what he does. I mean, he does exactly what I talk about looking for. We're looking for starting pitching. The 3-pitch combo, fastball, sinker, cutter. Has fastball run values in the 96th percentile. The location is elite. The K rate is well above average. The hard hit and barrel rates are well below average in the top 15th percentile. If there's anything at all that we could point to that's a negative for this guy, it's a ground ball rate, only 42%. It's below average. His fastball velo is low, which he navigates around easily with sequencing and location, keeps hitters off balance. There's no doubt about that. But if you're back in Chicago White Sox, and there's a little bit of an inverse dichotomy with these lineups versus the opposing pitchers, handedness. They're 29th against left-handed pitching since July 1st, but they're 10th on the season. So we have two teams that are trending inversely to their season-long metrics on offense. Both bullpens have been pretty good, but you have to give the Boston the edge with, they're number 1 in xFIP. They're number 2 in WHIP since July 1st. So you have to give that to Boston, even though I do like what the White Sox bullpen has done. So this is where I come into odds, and I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. Like it's hard to do this. You're always going to find spots where, unless it pertains to the market environment, but you're always going to find spots where you have to go against your logic or against your thesis, against your moral code. I talk about riding the trend instead of bucking the trend. And with the Red Sox on a 24 and 27 run here, 24 of 27 run here, they're the hottest team in baseball by far. And the White Sox have struggled on the road. So if I was going to ride the trend, it'd be backing the Red Sox in this spot. Unfortunately, this is a market I'm not going to there's no way I'm going to be fading this market. I'm going to be buying this market. I'm going to be buying the White Sox money line plus 165 for a unit. And I wonder who. I got one more thing to check here. I mean, like I said, if I had more evidence that we could see a good start from Luis Castillo, I would be more heavily invested. I would probably be buying an expensive run line at plus 1.5. And I found out that you really only want to be betting plus 1.5 with the road team. You want to be, and in my opinion, you want to be betting minus 1.5 with the home team. Really weird situation there. In this market environment, Cubs held Blue Jays to no runs. Come on, Colin. All right, White Sox money line plus 165. I actually bet 169. But I bet this a little bit earlier today. There has been some movement back the other way, but I posted plus 165 because I know that most people that do follow me don't have the book that I have, I use so frequently at the moment. I was about to walk them off after bombing that. Wow, glad I stayed away today. Are they going to walk them off, though? Who we got up to bat here? We got Nico Horner, who's got to put the ball in play. And he does, but it's a pop. All right, I got to cut that off, man. I got to cut that off. Maybe I'm bad luck. Fireside, what's going on, brother? First to see Jays blow the lead as a Jays fan. God, dude, Jays fans, fuck. You guys should be World Series champs, man. It's a shame. Cubs are making a comeback. I need to see him close that out. I can't see everybody in the chat right now because Conforto about to hit. Okay, I gotta stop. Okay, let's talk about Braves versus Marlins, another game that I'm invested in. I got 2 units invested in this game. They walked them. So what do we got? Dansby, Swanson, Braves, Marlins, another spot. I mean, we're just continue to see these spots very heavily skewed towards home team. A lot of cash flow coming in on the home favorites in these games. The Phillies, the Red Sox, the Braves, and the last 2 are outliers too. Can't wait to talk about those. Those are my biggest investments of the day. The Royals, Twins, Diamondbacks, Padres. But I am bet on the Braves, Marlins here. And we're looking at all the action coming in on Atlanta. We looked at this line drop from minus 157 down to minus 140. Now we're seeing a little bit of buyback at minus 149. This is a market I love to see. The total opened 8.5 juice to the over. It's up to 9, but it's really hard to read the overs. I talked about the overs pretty much every week since I've been on the show, since the All-Star break. We're looking at a massive, massive change in the structure of the total markets, moving to the over at double the rate they have been historically this season. But if you look at divisional home teams in this price range, they perform pretty well. That is until you really isolate. They perform pretty well. That is until you isolate the line moving towards the road team. And we're talking about a divisional matchup. So all of this is in the context of in division, the line moving towards the road team. And especially in this bucket, in this line movement, the size of the line movement, this is where you want to be betting on them. And especially when it boosted even more when you look at 80% or more of the cash on the home team. I should have made a graphic with this because there's a lot of nuances to this market. But as long as we close with the move towards the Marlins in the spot, we should be looking towards the Marlins. Now, can we make a case for them? I look at Jansen Junk and I look back at the notes I've made on this guy, and I've been talking about wanting to fade him. And I think it's because of his fastball usage and velo. And I could kind of poke holes in some of the stuff I see in his Savant page. However, 4.58 ERA, 4.04 xERA, his batting average, his expected batting average, X slug are well below the league average. The spray chart to me does not look good at all. It tells me he doesn't have consistent location and command, and he's been terrible on the road. So there's a lot of concerns with it, but it's mainly because he doesn't get a lot of swing and miss. And the fastball, which has been top graded offering, so he does throw the fastballs he does throw. He doesn't use them enough, but he does when he throws it. It's his top graded offering between fastball, off speed, and breaking. Atlanta versus right-handed pitching, 5th since July 1st, 11th on the season. They have been up, showing some life after the All-Star break. But, over the most recent trend, they've been going under at a ridiculous clip. And I bet the under yesterday. I bet the first 3 under. I lost. The full game went flying under. There was not a run scored after the 3rd inning, I don't believe. So took the loss yesterday, but I want to go back to the well, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have to put my faith in Junk. We've seen him go on the road. We've seen him versus Atlanta. I know earlier this season, Junk seen Atlanta 5 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned runs. That was in Miami. Now he's on the road where he's technically been worse. But we've seen him go strong. We've seen him give quality, strong innings against Atlanta before. 5 hits, 1 earned. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned against Atlanta before. Like, this is something we've seen him do successfully. I think he could have a good start in this game. Martin Perez on the other side, 3.24 ERA, 4.42 xERA. He always pitches above his xERA. I mean, I think it's 5 or 6 consecutive seasons now. Coming off 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned at home against Washington. Very impressive start. But we faded him the start before that against New York. I think I was on the show when I gave that play out. The home road dichotomy is considered, is worth considering. Drastic splits for Perez. And last time versus Miami, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned. So a bad start versus Miami is last time out. Both these pitchers had bad starts against their the opposition. So that's where I expect them to bounce back and post good performances. Martin Perez is a guy, I love his approach. A lot of times you see pitchers attack hitters in the zone where their command is strong. So like, for example, if you're throwing a sinker into a lefty and you're a right-handed pitcher, you just continue to throw it inside. That's where you feel comfortable. That's your strong suit, not Perez. Perez's strong suit in the zone is everywhere in the zone. He likes to attack the zones where the hitters are weak. And I feel like that's really impressive. I feel like that's very visible when you're watching him pitch. And with such low velo, it just makes it even more impressive. All pitching run values, at least 10% above average. Fastball breaking off speed has been impressive. But with such low velo, there comes issues. No chase, no swing and miss, high contact rate, somewhat luck dependent. And I feel like this Miami Marlins team is a very, very good candidate to beat that type of pitching. Miami versus left-handed pitching 20th since July 1st, 18th on the season, pretty consistent. But I do think that this is a left-handed pitcher they can get to. And of course, Miami's going to be a little bit worse versus left-handed pitching, being in the same division with 2 dominant left-handed starters in Chris Sale and Christoph Sanchez. So I feel like this is going to be a little bit easier from what they're usually seeing in division. The first 5 full game divergent splits are all over the place. Like I'm looking at the difference every time I'm looking at bet a first 5 or full game. I'm always looking at the divergence in pricing between first 5 and full game. And this one's a little bit confusing. Like Bet Online moved the first 5 line down towards Miami. Bovada moved this line. They opened at minus 135. They opened at minus 135. They moved it towards the Braves to minus 150. But there's a 10-point discrepancy, 10-cent discrepancy in price points. That makes me like the first 5. And also, there's just massive trends to the under in this game. If anything, the database says the under is the best bet in this game in a divisional matchup. But I'm playing both. I think both starting pitchers can pitch well. The first 5 line was moving towards the under. The full game line was moving towards the over. So I'm on the first 5, under 5 at minus 105. I got the Marlins first 5 plus 118 for a unit. 1 unit on each. Lines out to shallow center field. A wild pop-out catch to end it. A line out? A line out there? Pop-out or a line out? Love the fish day. Let's go, man, Bear Pig. Fireside, hell yeah. Marlins Braves, you have the line on the Braves dropping 6 cents despite 84% of the action. Big indicator. I agree. Let's go, Joe Vabanco. Let's go. Let's go. We got a cash. Yeah, line out. Just a wild catch. Yeah. Yeah. I know it. Oh, man. I need a little bit of favorable variance here. And I know I'm not going to get none of that unearned run variance. That is just, there's no way it's coincidental. The unearned run variance this season is fucking insane. All right, next game up, we got the Royals and the Twins, and this is this is different than every other game. So we do have a divisional game, but now this is the first example we're seeing a much tighter betting splits, much more evenly distributed in cash flow. And I find that to be very favorable in this type of market. 62% of bets, 57% of cash, and 59% of bets, 53% of cash on Kansas City. I love to see it. This line opened we're seeing an open and close at minus 119 with no movement. Let's see if that's still what it is. We have seen 2 cents of movement towards the Royals, but it's been kind of bouncing back, less than 5 cents between a move towards the home team and a road team. And that makes sense with basically 50-50 cash flow splits per Action Network. Look at the history of this line. I don't even want to talk about this total moving up from 8.5 to 9. First of all, it's juiced to the over. Now it's juiced to the under. But all these totals are moving towards the over at this point in the season. So what do we look at here? We look at home teams that open between minus 125 and minus 110. Divisional home favorites, very short home favorites with less than 10 cents of line movement. Home team 41-25 straight up, 62%. In 2026, 14-7 straight up. I want to see this line close exactly where it opened with these 50-50 cash flow splits. And I do think that people look at Bailey Ober. I think that actually people probably look at both these starting pitchers and want to back them in some way, shape, or form if they have the opportunity to. Bailey Ober, though, is a guy I want to fade. 123 whip, 445 xERA, His xERA is the exact same as his actual ERA. He's coming off 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned at home versus this very Kansas City this Royals team. Against Kansas City throughout his career, 131 at-bats, 282 opponent batting average, 828 OPS. But on the road this season, Bailey Ober has been an absolute fade. 7.15 ERA, 159 whip, and a 317 opponent batting average. And why else do I want to fade him? It's not just because of those underlying numbers. It's just because you cannot be consistent with the profile that he has as a pitcher in terms of his pitch mix and what he does well and bad. What he does well. He doesn't do what I want, what I perceive as finding value well. His fastball usage is 38%. His fastball velo is bottom 1%. His fastball run value is bottom 20%. But he does grade out well in the walk and hard hit categories. I guess if that's what you want to lean on. I feel like this is a good example of an average pitcher in today's MLB. I would put him slightly below average, and I would actually put Waka slightly above average. 351 xERA, 351 actual ERA, 412 xERA, 116 whip. But he's pitched above his xERA similarly in 5 consecutive seasons, almost the exact same splits between actual and expected ERAs. Coming off 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned at Colorado in the thin air. But he's been much better at home. 104 whip, 303 ERA, 217 opponent batting average. That tells me we have a home road dichotomy that's very favorable for the Kansas City Royals. He has great numbers versus this lineup, 97 at-bats, 227 opponent batting average. And what makes Waka so appealing is kind of the opposite of why I find Ober to be so unappealing. Ober fastball usage only 38%, with the fastball run value bottom 20%. Waka, he increased his fastball run value from 25% last year to top 75% this year. And he's a wipeout changeup pitch that he's had his entire career. But most importantly, he throws the 3-pitch combo that I find to be, what I want to back, what I look for in a starting pitcher. Fastball, sinker, cutter. He throws it, and he throws them well located, good location, good sequencing, keeps hitters off value, good splits and velo between those 3 pitches. I want to back Waka in this spot. I think we have a favorable market. I look at the matchup. I love the matchup of the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have been a bad baseball team this year, but they have been much better at home. At home, they're 1 game above 500. On the road, they're 20 games below 500. The first 5 full game splits about 15 cents more expensive in the first 5. And knowing what we know about the Kansas City bullpen, we want to isolate Ober and Waka in this first 5. This Twins team is a fade, in my opinion. I moved on the Royals' first 5 money line heavily at -125 for 3 units. Guillermo Zertucci, what's good? What's up, Troy? Almost football, baby. We're getting there, man. I'm going to have to make a rule. No football talk in my chat during the baseball season. It's just as distracting as knowing the Cubs are playing in extra innings right now. Miles Straw's up. 2 outs. 2 on. I had Royals last night. I don't think I can back them again tonight. Well, you can back them first 5. I feel like that's totally reasonable. All right. Last game up. This is really hard. Just keep me updated in chat. Are we going to get out of this? This BJ's offense is so bad. Colin, are we out of the inning? Just tell me we're out of the inning. Yes, you are. Bottom. Let's go. Let's go, man. All right. D-backs, Padres. So I got 3. Honestly, so Royals. One last thing on the Royals game. Royals Twins. I'm honestly thinking about increasing my size. I know 3 units is a big bet, but I'm being very liberal with my bankroll right now. I'm in a situation to do so. 5% for me is 7 units. So we're not even close to that at this point. We have 3 units invested, and I'm looking for more, honestly. I kind of want to size up in that spot. I really like Waka. I really hate – I don't want to say hate. I dislike Ober, and I think the Royals are a good bet on team right now. All right, let's go. D-backs, Padres, 56% of bets, 52% of cash on Arizona. 49% of bets, 72% of cash on Arizona. So we're looking at 50-50, pretty much 50-50 in terms of percentage of bets, but you're seeing some sharp action coming in on Arizona. D-backs open -111. They're down to -104. This is what I would deem the sharp trap. I talk about this all the time. This is the Padres. There we go. Padres, Diamondbacks. So we're looking at this market. You can see the history of this market. No matter what total range you're looking at, 8 or less, 8.5 to 9, 9+. you're looking at the home team with a sizable edge. I mean, 2.8%. The bookies will ban you with just a 1% edge. Historically, this is a market where home teams get it done, but be it 26, 25, 24, 23, any total range, home teams in division get it done in this profile. If I did my very best and I incorporated every variable and I'm looking for a profile to get to San Diego to basically say, don't bet Arizona in this spot, the best I could do is get to a 50-50 coin flip. That's it. This is so heavily skewed towards the Diamondbacks. I already know based on this market environment that I'm going to be betting the Arizona Diamondbacks. The question is for how much. So that's when we start diving into the matchup. Drake, my guy Drake on the mound, left-handed pitcher, young blood, rookie, only 3 starts in the league. He, Cleveland, Washington, at home against the Athletics in his debut. 146 whip, 806 xERA. Coming off 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned in Cleveland. The debut was his best outing, but it was also against his worst opponent, and it was at home. And I feel like this Padres team against left-handed pitching, yeah, they've been a little bit better lately. Since July 1st, they're 19th, but they're 28th on the season. We just watched Mitch Bratt go 7 innings, 1-hit baseball last night. I think Drake can post a quality start. I think it's really hard to look at the underlying numbers, look at his pitch mix, look at the spray chart. There's not enough pitches in the bag yet where we can really start alluding to these things and making heads or tails out of it. But I will say the way he's priced as a favorite in the first 5 against a guy like Buehler against his Padres team that has been uptrending, I think that's a very, very favorable situation. It's the bookies kind of showing you their hand. This is an important opening line. I know we have seen some line movement towards the Padres, but not in the first 5. That tells me Drake is going to have a pretty decent pitching, pretty decent outing, or Buehler's going to get absolutely torched, which I could also see with his 5.18 ERA and a 145 whip. His last 3 road starts, 15 innings, 13 earned runs. He's coming off 4.1 innings, 2.0 whip, 3 earned runs against San Francisco at home in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark against a bad offense. 4 innings, 2 whip, 3 earned. Versus Arizona, 104 at-bats, 250 opponent batting average, 724 OPS. It's pretty decent, but not lately. He's seen Arizona this season, 5 innings, 7 hits, 7 earned. He struggles versus left-handed pitching. He struggles on the road, 5.74 ERA, 155 whip on the road. And I like what Buehler tries to do in theory. Theoretically, it doesn't really play out that well in practicality when you have to go apply what you're trying to do, because he runs out of gas. After 30, 40 pitches, you see that velo start to tick down in each and every inning, each and every at-bat, sometimes pitch over pitch. He throws 2 fastballs that's 2 miles an hour or less. There's no way it could be by design because it doesn't happen early. I feel like he runs out of gas. He runs out of steam. I'm not even going to look towards the bullpen situation because I think if the Diamondbacks are going to win this game, they have to be up in the first 5. I think the reason they're still favored in the first 5, and we're seeing a much more stagnant, much stronger line in the first 5 than the full game is telling me we have to back Drake in this outing. So I'm on the D-backs first 5 money line, minus 115. I got 2 units on it. But these last 2 plays, the Royals and the D-backs, I'm going to reserve the rights to increase my positions on both of those. I like both of them. And I want to cash both of them. And I think we do. That's where my slate, my entire slate is going to be predicated on those 2 games. D-backs first 5, Royals first 5. Obviously, we got the Marlins first 5 money line. We got the first 5 under in Braves Marlins. We got the White Sox money line. And we have the Phillies first 5 minus a half and the Nationals first 5 team total under 1.5. We were talking about potentially adding minus 1.5 full game. If you pull that graphic up now, the Phillies game, I had that one graphic left that we haven't talked about yet. And now let me get back up so I could speak to it as well. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. Home favorites that open less than minus 300, right? Minus 300 or less is what we're looking at. 53-9 straight up. That's 9.1% edge versus the implied line. That's pretty damn impressive. The run line is 63%. At minus 150, minus 155, that's kind of right on the break-even point. But what this doesn't reflect, because it's not a big enough sample, is if we just isolated in divisional matchups. You see these over trends. Every under in these samples are in division. The divisional games in this market go under, but you can see that this is where you want to attack these home favorites between 8.5 and 9.5. This is exactly where you want to attack them. So I talk about the cash cow profile. This is not it. This is not the cash cow profile. But when That's usually an open between minus 225 and 275. That's usually where those lines are opening in those cash cow markets. We want the total to be 8.5 in those games. But with how big of a favorite this Phillies team is, that gets ticked up. That's to be expected. They're bigger favorites. The margin of victory is supposed to be wider, thus increasing the volatility of the game to some extent. And so you want that total between 8.5 and 9.5. That's where they thrive at the highest rate, especially on the run line, especially 90% on the money line, 34-4. That's extremely impressive. And then you look at the line movement, and this is where you don't capture it. I forgot to send the second graph, didn't I? I have a divisional graphic of this. I should have sent this over because we should be looking at in division. This line moving towards the road team just creates an 11-1 spot for the home team. I love this spot for the Phillies, but I'm really looking to add to my position on the first 5. So what do we got today? We got dogs, we got favorites. We're kind of well distributed on this card, 5 games up, and I think we're going to knock them down. I think we're going to have a good day, especially when it comes to the 2 late games and cashing those first 5s before you brush your teeth, put on your jams to go to sleep. It's going to be a beautiful thing. But that's going to wrap it up for the closing line for today, August 6, 2026. Man, I just appreciate everybody here. I really do. Appreciate Puff Sports Radio for the opportunity. Nasty motherfucker Nate says Red Sox trifecta. Hell no. Hell no, Nate. Come on, man. I appreciate everybody who stops by to support me, support Puff Sports Radio. You should do it again. If you're not watching Jimmy the Bags night show, the morning show, you got to be watching that. The Sesh, Puff Sports Radio is where it's at. You want to watch good handicapping content. Man, I couldn't be more excited about what the future holds with the NFL season right around the corner. This beautiful Thursday night slate. Got a few more weeks with the MLB baseball seasons. We're going to be running it up here to finish out the 2026 campaign all the way through December and maybe taper back in the NFL playoffs a little bit. I think I learned my lesson. It's been a long show for 5 games, 45 minutes, and I've been grinding my ass off since 5 a.m. trying to get to the bag. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see you rats next Tuesday. Peace.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Puff Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.